and we'll be looking into the implications for national security and development as we discuss security matters. Well, in the studios, as already informed you by Fabian, we've just been joined by the Minister of Internal Affairs, who is retired Major General David Talova. Good morning.
Good morning.
Talova, and it's a pleasure having you.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
I like your suit.
Oh, thank you very much.
Let's start off on a very softer note. Just aid us with security updates within Sierra Leone.
Security for now is calm and quiet amidst the rumors of protest and everything. And we have a plan in place to protect the integrity of the nation, protect the people and their achievements. You know, we are on top of situation.
How vigilant is the security sector as we speak, taking into cognizance the lot of hiccups that we've seen, of recent in Sierra Leone, more so when it comes to attacks and counterattacks from wherever it was coming from?
Well, to tell you the truth, we have one of the best security forces in Africa. We have one of the best militaries in Africa. We have one of the best police service in Africa. And we have ONS also doing great. And visibly, you can see a lot of security patrols. You can see people training. You can see the army putting itself together. Actually, it's not for the protest, because as far as we are concerned, we just heard about the protest. We've not got any letter from the police to say somebody is planning a protest, or somebody have written a letter. People have written a letter to us to say we want to protest and things like that. So as far as we're concerned, we're only doing our normal security training, our normal patrols and everything, and we are prepared for any eventualities.
You say we have the best security apparatus within the country.
One of the best.
One of the best. What makes us one of the best?
In terms of training, in terms of discipline. You see what happened on the 26th of November 2023. Well, that one, in any society, you must have the bad ones. Like some of these guys who joined the assailants to attack the city of Freetown, opened the arms store, they're now standing trials. These are just the bad ones. But we also have the good ones, which are in the majority. Now, if you check our army, we have people who have made names, like myself sitting here. I've won 3 battle honors to my credit. Not only in Sierra Leone, but internationally. And we have other officers as well with such achievements. And these are people the country is very proud of. We will say, okay, what happened on the 26th of November was a surprise. Although there is nothing like surprise when it comes to security, because security is 24/7 alertness. But let's have that. Let's take that as a surprise. But this time around, nobody is going to surprise us. We will deal precisely with any situation that may come up.
Retired Major General Talova, what we've seen before President Bio and during President Bio's administration, well, the fact is he has a military background. So you would assume him, particularly with a military background, would have the fullest support and backing from the military. You would least expect that it would be during his administration that we would have this number of failed attempted coups. But it has still happened, even though he's got a military background. What's going on in the army? Why are some army men fighting against one of their own?
Like I said, these are one of the issues. It's happening everywhere. You must have bad eggs. Sometimes I would say to have bad eggs is one thing, but sometimes you need to clear the end that lays the bad egg. We have bad soldiers in any society, like even in journalism where you belong. You have bad journalists. You have the good ones. You know, they are bad soldiers, they are bad police, they are bad politicians, they are bad everywhere. You must have the bad ones, and then you must have the good ones. You have people that you will never satisfy at all. No matter what effort you make to satisfy them, you will never satisfy them. So these are all over. Some people, because of tribal sentiments or because of political affiliations, they may want to side with certain things, which is not called for. As a military man or generally as a security man, you have to serve the government of the day. Whether your brother is in opposition or your whoever, your tribe and these things, those things will come to play when it comes to actually servicing your oath.
Would you credit or attribute the November 26 failed attempted coup and previous attempts to politics or an unfinished business in the army, when you also consider that President Bio was amongst a team during Valentine's Strasser that overthrew the elected government then? Is this about politics of APC and SLPP, or is this an unfinished business from back in the 90s?
It is very difficult to say whether it's about the APC or the SLPP, because APC did not come out as a political party to say, we made that attempt. All we know is we have people, we have politicians, we have retired servicemen who took up arms on the 26th of November to attack the government of President Madabio. So it is not to say whether they were APC or they were whatever. All we are saying, and all I've listened to in the court proceedings, they are only saying nonsense that they wanted to overthrow the government of Sierra Leone.
With that still ongoing, and couple that to the threats on social media about a protest, there are still a number of citizens who are in fear. One, the trial is still ongoing. We don't yet, as a nation, have a full picture of what had happened, and not too sure on whether all the weapons and that were stolen have been returned, and some of the people on the wanted list being found. It still leaves concerns. And now there are rumors of planned protest. It makes people worry.
Definitely, that's natural. You know, there is a popular saying that once beaten, twice shy. They have seen this kind of horror before, maybe many times. In the 90s, they have seen things like this, you know, and also in the last couple of years, they have seen things like this as well. So there is every need for them to be panicked, and there is any need for them to, you know, for their adrenaline to rise up, you know, because they have seen such before. But what I would say is, you cannot stop anything from happening. There is a way we can prevent things from happening. But once somebody is determined, especially in this case, somebody is determined to die, like those who came on the 26th of November, they were determined to die because there is no way they were going to succeed. They were actually not going to succeed. They were just determined to die. And these ones too, if they come out, they are also going to die. This time around, we are not going to have any loose ends that people may escape. We are making sure that we seal the entire Freetown, that there will be no escape route for anyone.
But Salova, many will say the incidents then depicts the fragile state of our national security sector, Salova.
I don't want you to bank on that. Take, for example, you expect a soldier at the ammunition dump to guard the ammunition dump. That is constitutional, right? You will not say, I don't trust you, I will not allow you to guard the ammunition dump. And in your duty, you renege in that responsibility, and then you allow people to break into the arms store. They took away arms and ammunition, and some of the men in uniform aided them. They conspired with them. So how would you say the government actually is paying people to do their job? Like the guy who opened the ammunition store, he was doing his job. That's his job, he was paid for. Nobody was expecting him to actually break into the store and took arms. What he did. Does that mean you will not allow other officers as well to man the ammunition store? You must have confidence in people. You must say, okay, these are the bad ones. Let me put them aside. But let me now have new ones. And I'm sure the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces must have realized their mistake, and they are putting measures in place to correct that mistake.
I have been reporting for the army for quite a while. And in the army, what I know about the soldiers is they like morale. One expects. Was it as a result of a semblance of demotivation that will have led to such an ugly incident within the country? I mean, within the army?
Well, I cannot say that, because I left the army about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe about 4 years ago. So I will not say maybe they are demotivated. But no matter your condition, you took oath. You were under oath to serve your nation. If maybe you are dissatisfied with the condition of the job, you could retire. You could ask for early retirement and retire. There is no need for you to cause the lives of other people because of your demotivation or whatever. I don't know how you may look at it. But morally, it's wrong. Legally, it's wrong. No matter how you look at it, it's very, very wrong. You serve the nation. You serve the people of this country. You don't go into their own hard-earned cash. The weapons they're using, these are taxpayers' money. If you allow any Sierra Leonean to die unlawfully with that weapon, it's against your oath. You don't do that.
How deep-rooted is political interference within the security sector as we speak?
It's difficult for me to say right now, because politics is everywhere. And the major problem in Sierra Leone is politics. There are two ways people look at politics. Some people do politics to serve. Some people do politics to survive. Those are the dangerous ones. If you do politics for a living, you are missing the point. You must have something to do. If you do politics to serve, you are the right man. Because at the end of the day, you go home with a clear mindset that I served my nation. But if you do politics to survive, or if you do politics for a living, by the time you are out of power, you become disgruntled. And you start to create problems for the nation. Because for you, it's a way of life. But for others, it's a service they render to the nation. In other countries, people do politics to render service to their nation. They don't do politics for survival. But most times in Africa, a lot of people do politics for survival. And that's very, very wrong. That's why we always have conflict in Africa. That's why we always have problems in Africa. Because you do politics to survive. So a lot of people who do politics to survive, they are always there to create confusion. Once they're out of power, they create a lot of confusion, even within the same party. If President Bill should say, okay, today I want you to take a leave, so I may employ that. Some people become disgruntled because they say, okay, I was surviving. Now he has removed me from office. That's a very bad mindset. Even in the opposition, by the time you leave power, you start to create problems because you do politics for survival. You don't do politics to serve.
One attribute that stands out distinctively when you talk about army men is discipline.
Yeah.
But very recently, maybe a few weeks ago or so, there was a video circulating on social media of 3 military men in Sierra Leone. You would know it's Sierra Leone because the Creole is Sierra Leone's Creole. two of them were fighting. One was standing guard with a gun, and he was loudly giving instructions to the other man, kill him, kill him. Someone else came and tried to separate them. The one that was standing guard took out his gun and threatened to kill the person that came to separate them, insisting the fight must go on. Now, for Sierra Leoneans who have been in Sierra Leone, remembering the war, you've been here for the November 26 failed attempted coup. All this does to you is makes you feel scared that look at our army people who should be displaying discipline, whatever the level of disagreement is. There are methods to channel those concerns, but there they were, two fighting, one insisting one should kill the other. What is the army doing? You are the Minister of Internal Affairs. How are you paying attention to discipline within the army? We can't have our army men losing discipline.
You see, one thing, when you talk about the army, it's like the army people, they are special people.
They are because they've been trained specially. They're not like any of us ordinary citizens.
I know.
That is the way the public perceive them.
I know. But
that's why a civilian is much more scared of an army man than a police officer. Right. You know the general thing we say, where policeman slap you different from where soldier man slap you.
But what I'm saying is this. These military men, they came from the civil populace, not like us. Me, I was born in the barracks. I grew up in the barracks. I've spent all my life in the barracks. I left the barracks about 5 years ago. So, even that, you know, I'm not a superhuman being. If you go to the American army, you go to the British army, you go to the Chinese army, you go to whatever army, these things do happen. They do happen. So it's not only peculiar to Sierra Leone to say, okay, it's only the Sierra Leonean army that is behaving this way. I'm not talking for the army. I left the army more than 4 years ago. I'm not talking for the army. But what I'm saying...
But once the army officer is always the army officer.
Yeah, I know that. But the way you look at it, what they did is wrong. Right. It's not correct.
So how are we correcting the wrongs?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they must have taken some disciplinary action against them.
The army is under internal affairs as well.
No, it's not. The army is under the Ministry of Defense. They must have taken some disciplinary action against them. That one I can tell you. Because no commander in its right sense will look at things like that and then just overlook it. They must have taken some disciplinary action against them.
Taluva.
With the planned protests for, well, the faceless protest, because as you put it earlier, names and organizations have not come up to claim the protest to say this is this. Nevertheless, it doesn't take away the fear factor from citizens who either had witnessed or heard of August 10, 2022. What's the level of assurance you would give to the public in terms of their safety and security?
No, they must have seen what happened on the 26th of November. They know that the military, the police, the security outfit, they are always out to protect the civilians. And they look at the professional way they handled the situation. It was a surprise. I would say it was a surprise. But at least the security forces were able to put themselves together and react precisely to avoid civilian casualty. You know, that's enough confidence to the civilians that the security forces are up to the task. Because even though, let's assume they were taken by surprise, but the professional way they conducted themselves, the professional way they reacted to that situation to minimize civilian casualty and all of these things, there's enough confidence to the civilians that the security agencies are on top of situation.
In spite of the progress you've mentioned that you've recorded over time, we still notice that the country continues to face continued breach just like what Fabian mentioned, the August 10 incidents. Of recent, we noticed the coming of the ECOWAS troop in Sierra Leone will be based in the depot in Nunge. And that's what our mixed feeling in the minds of many Sierra Leoneans, taking into account them seeing ECOWAS. We all know some of us were young to some extent at that time when ECOMOG came in, and we knew what happened in the country. Will you allay the fears of the public at this particular moment on the arrival of this troop in Sierra Leone?
We're talking
are they here to support Sierra Leone should an eventuality occur?
We're talking about two different things here. We're talking about the protest, and then we're talking about the ECOWAS standby force. These are two different things.
Okay. But the public has always mixed the two, taking
well, that's why we are here to clear the...
That's more the reason why I asked the question, that you could clarify.
Okay. I was part of the formation of the ECOWAS standby force. I attended so many meetings in Abuja, in Togo, all over the West African countries. I attended so many meetings. That was in 2015, 2016. We attended so many meetings. In fact, from 2011, I'm sure, we started this issue about ECOWAS standby force. There was a lot of debate about where the depot should be, the support depot. You know, the Guineans were saying it should go over to them, and then Sierra Leone, we said it should come over to us, you know. I was part of that arrangement that brought the ECOWAS depot to Sierra Leone, the standby force. And again, when we were deploying troops to the Gambia, I was also part of that arrangement to deploy troops to Gambia. And we went to Gambia, we looked at the situation, we came. In fact, we were trying to even insert a company of our troops so they also could have the experience of a peacekeeping or an in-place force, sort of. But we had a lot of issues with the Senegalese chief of defense staff then, because they constituted the larger part of the standby force that went to the Gambia. So we were left out. But that did not deny us the opportunity to have the depot here in Sierra Leone. So this is not a new thing. This thing started way back in the 2011 coming up. So I wonder why people are linking these two together to say it is part of the protest or they are coming to protect anybody. This is an arrangement that has been going on for the past 10 years. It has nothing to do with the Sierra Leone security. The purpose of that standby force is to aid countries in security turmoil or in security problems, like we did in Guinea-Bissau, like we did in the Gambia. But it's not there to say they are coming to solve Sierra Leonean problems. We have competent security force to take care of our security situation. So this issue about panicking that the ECOWAS is coming, they are on their own. Let us don't mix them up with what we are going through right now.
I suppose it has an economic benefit on Sierra Leone. Is that the case?
I don't understand what you mean by economic benefit.
It could be in form of finance. Say they are staying in Sierra Leone. Could it
if they stay in Sierra Leone, definitely it would have some economic benefit. Let's say if they want to have their depot here, maybe they want to supply troops in the Gambia. They say, okay, why don't we look in Sierra Leone and get fish or look at foodstuff for the troops in the Gambia? You know, that will allow them to get some foodstuff, to get fish, pepper, and whatever, so they can support the other troops in the Gambia or elsewhere. So it brings economic benefit anyway.
Now let's talk on crime. because you are the Minister of Internal Affairs and you monitor the police directly. How high is the level of crime in Sierra Leone as we speak?
We monitor crime rate not only in Sierra Leone, because we do comparative studies with global issues and everything. The kind of crime we commit in Sierra Leone is not the kind of crime somebody will commit in Guinea or Nigeria, or let's say for Nigeria, for example, they kidnap people. But in Sierra Leone, we don't kidnap people. Maybe we have some few miscreants that go around, they cause trouble for people, maybe they steal from people and things like that. But to say we have major crimes like other countries, like Nigeria, they kidnap people like Phoebe and somebody will kidnap her and ask for a ransom of 2 billion yuans. But if you kidnap somebody in Sierra Leone and ask for a ransom of 2 billion yuans, of course, they will just tell you, keep her there, just give us the change. You see? So crime, we have certain crime that Nigeria will commit, Sierra Leone will not commit that same kind of crime. We have crimes in America, for example, they are very quick to gun down people. We will not have that kind of crime in Sierra Leone. The crimes we have in Sierra Leone, most times they are just youthful exuberance. People go around, they commit crime to people, they abuse people, they steal from people. Of late, we've been having problems in Kenema, armed robbery, but we are putting mechanisms in place to stop that. In Connaught, we have some few people, they go around, they fight people. These are the kinds of crime we have. And then we have another crime that people commit, cybercrime, cyberbullying. These are all crimes. If you see people in America, in the UK, they constitute themselves into whatever group to say, okay, we are coming to free Sierra Leone. How are you coming to free Sierra Leone? I don't understand. It's difficult for me to take that in, to say, you are coming to free Sierra Leone. How are you coming to free Sierra Leone?
Will you aid us with statistics as to the number, the kind of crimes that you just highlighted?
Well, for now, I don't have that off-air. I wish you would give me some time. I'll give you, if I check my office, I'll give you the crime statistics in Sierra Leone.
All right. With that said, we do have comments on our Facebook page we'd like to read out for your response. I'll start off with Ronald George Stone, who says, you have one of the best army in Africa? I beg to differ, sir. There's a part of Sierra Leone under the Guinean forces, and the army has a mandate in protecting its borders, and the army isn't even making its presence in Yenga. What do you call that when a national army cannot protect its borders and its people? As for discipline, maybe you need to check on social media the behavior of presidential guards. Maybe you'll rephrase your statement.
Usman Prince Suleiman Kavani says, what modalities have you put in place for the National Army and ECOMOG to work together in deterrence of any security breach?
Eddie Grant says, General Taluva, don't be forced to spill security details on air. Be professional.
Ronald George Stone says, you have one of the best army in Africa. I beg to differ. Was that the message you read? But let me just get them see this one. It says, you have one of the best army in Africa. I beg to differ. Sir, they are a part of Sierra Leone under the Guinean force.
Yes, that's the one I read.
Okay. Usman Prince Kavani says, do you think the military is divided like it has happened before, such as West Side Boys and the National Loyal Military Men?
Ronald Georgeston again says the Guineans have occupied Yenga for more than 20 years. 20 years, my friend. Where has any diplomatic talk taken place? Let's be honest with the facts. Our army hasn't got the capability in making the occupying troops retreat, but can use force on its people, which is a shame, because the police are there for the citizens, not the army. Yet, soldiers take the role of the police when they should be protecting our borders, my friend.
Continue.
Okay. Still on those messages, quite a lot of them. Mosdi says, I know military personnel that have died defending their country, and yet their families are not receiving their hard-earned benefits at all. Ronald George Stone says the army and police have different mandates in Sierra Leone. The police are in charge of the civilian population and life and property, and in maintaining law and order, for example, peaceful protest, etc. The army has the responsibility of protecting its territories and its people from outside harm or domestic when called in, that is, state of emergency or martial law, but mostly don't have involvement with civilian issues. The police take charge of that, not the army.
Osfren Kamara says, taking our political landscape from the boils of instability and uncertainty of the days as they down, a model approach of managing grassroots issues of behavioral patterns rather than just fixing the issues with a martial approach. Managing the peace of a nation yields sustainable peace, whilst fixing is short-lasting. Recruitment of a national force must involve a psychological approach of human behavior.
Hosam Conte says a well-trained, experienced ex-military officer, when talking on security issues, there's no doubt.
Emil Davis says, Mr. Minister, what are your plans to improve discipline in the army? Please elaborate.
I think would limit messages to those.
A lot of messages.
I will not say I have any plans to at least improve discipline in the military, because for now I have nothing to do with the military. They are not under my ministry. They are under the Ministry of Defense. But one thing I'm very certain is that the Ministry of Defense is working hard to improve discipline in the military. A lot of this talk about Yenga, we must clear this issue about Yenga. We don't just go, remember we have a treaty with Guinea. We have a defense treaty with Guinea since 1970-71. Now they are occupying Yenga. Every Sierra Leonean, including myself, we think they are illegally. And a lot of diplomatic talks have been going on within the West African sub-region to ECOWAS, and a lot of people have been mediating. You cannot just go and start fighting Guinea to kick them out. You know, when we talk about national instrument of national power, the first one is diplomacy. We have used the diplomatic approach, and we are still using it. You not just go to the military, you not just go to the military option. You must have the diplomatic approach. And I am sure government is very serious with that diplomatic approach. And then somebody was saying about, somebody talked something about was it a protest or something? I could not remember exactly what you just read out.
Skip that response to to the others.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Minister, at some point in time, would you consider any of the breach that we've experienced in Sierra Leone as an act of terrorism?
Yes. They meet terrorism definition. Whatever that creates terror. Imagine the timing alone to wake people up from their sleep around 2 a.m. in the morning is terrorism. That's terrorism. It's a terrorist act. It could not have a global link, because when you look at terrorism, you look at global terrorism and domestic terrorism. It could not have a global link, but it's terrorism. Yes, it's terrorism. They acted in terror. And they created fear and panic in the minds of people. And what they're about to do again, if at all, but I pray that God forbid them not to do that. But they are trying to create another, they are trying to destabilize the country through terrorist means, because definitely they will not succeed. That one I will assure you. They will never succeed. But they create panic in the minds of people. That's an act of terrorism. It meets the definition of terrorism.
What should Sierra Leoneans expect at this particular moment from your end in terms of stability or what have you?
As Sierra Leoneans should know one thing. People who are doing well in the diaspora, you know, they work so hard, they have properties in Freetown, they will never agitate for anything that will destroy their properties or their achievement in Sierra Leone. But when you look at people that are not making any effort, if you go to Furabe College, you go to all these learning institutions, those who are not doing well in class, they are always out there to protest, to cause this kind of trouble, to obstruct the others. That's why me personally, I'm always afraid of the never-do-wells, because they are problems to themselves. Most of these people agitating, we are coming to liberate Sierra Leone, we are coming to fight, we are coming to kick out the government. If you look at them and then you consider what they have in Sierra Leone, they have nothing at stake in Sierra Leone. And if you have nothing if you have nothing to live for, you have nothing to die for. Yes. If you have nothing to live for, you have nothing to die for.
What is Sierra Leone's current security level classification?
We have not got that threat that will change the security posture. These ones are just passive threats. But yet still, we are watching them. You know, you don't just change security posture. You have to look at the security situation and see if the threat is imminent.
But it's a threat that has the possibility to overthrow government. You say it's just passive threats?
They will not overthrow the government. That one I can assure you. I can bet with my life that they will never overthrow this government. Because remember, this government was voted in by people. And the people will not sit by and allow you overthrow their government. This government was voted in by people. You see, if you want to move this government unconstitutionally, you create war in the country. It's going to be war. And that war is tantamount to genocide. Because a lot of governments have come in, they've gone, nobody disturbed them, allowed them to have their way. Now, if this government is on, and then you say you remove this government by all means, you create instability in this country. And you don't know how long that will last for. It's just a matter of throwing the whole nation into a proper chaos. You don't know how long that will last for. You don't know, people have worked hard, they've achieved a lot, and then you just want to plunge the country into a civil war that will last for many, many, many years. Why don't you stop? If there's going to be any change in the government, let it be through the ballot box. Let it be through the constitution of Sierra Leone. But you don't just do that because you feel like doing it. And most of those that are saying, let us come and remove the government, they were not even here to vote. They did not even register. People went through painstakingly, they registered, they voted, and then you say you want to remove their government. It's not going to work. It will just plunge this country into a civil war.
And still conclude on the security level of Sierra Leone. At what level are we?
At this point, as I'm saying, we may likely move to amber, but we are not at that red. Because when you move to red, that means the threat is imminent and it's tangible. But for now, you, even as a civilian, you know that that threat is not tangible for now. People just say, is it cyber bullying or cyber talks or cyber crimes? People just say, they try to rally people on social media. They've done that once, they've done that twice, they've done that thrice, they've done that so many times. And people are dying. And these people are not coming to say, okay, let me lead the protest, let me lead this. They just call you on phone, they call you on social media, they ask you to mobilize and to come out. At the end of the day, you lose your life. So what do you stand to gain? You will not change the government. You will lose a relative of yours. You know? And then what is that?
So as we round off this segment of the conversation, as Minister of Internal Affairs, use this moment for public education and speak to the citizens of Sierra Leone and residents in Sierra Leone.
Well, all I would tell the people of Sierra Leone is to stay calm. They have seen this kind of thing on the 26th of November, and they have seen the level of professionalism by our security forces to minimize civilian casualty, and the assailants were properly taken care of. So let them just, and if you assume that that was a surprise, let them just be rest assured that this time around, the police, the military were well prepared to at least protect the people of this country, to protect the citizens of this country. Let them don't take us for granted. We are up to the task, and we protect them. If we have done it before, we can still do it. Imagine how we minimize civilian casualty. We only took care of the assailant, and there was no civilian casualty. We agreed some people died, some soldiers died in active service. May their souls rest in peace. They died in active service for this nation. Soldiers gave their lives, police gave their lives for this nation.
We also had civilian casualty.
Yeah, but that was minimized. That's why I said we will try to minimize that as best as possible. But in the interest of peace, we always talk to people not to at least come out. Not to come out. You cannot overthrow this government. There is no way you will do that.
All right, thank you very much for your time this morning. He is retired Major General David Taluva, Minister of Internal Affairs, speaking to us this morning on security concerns in Sierra Leone ahead of a rumored planned protest.